Welcome back to my channel and the practical series of the cloud computing. In this practical, that is your practical number 2C, right? We will see how do we implement this RPC. So RPC is your remote procedure call. So RPC is one of the method of implementing a distributed system. Like TCP and UDP, we also have a RPC. RPC is used to call other process on the remote system. That means we have a server, that is your remote system, and on server we have a procedure, right? What do you mean by procedure? Procedure is also called as function, right? Or a subroutine. So we call this function or a procedure on the client machine. That means this procedure is executing on the server, right? We call this procedure, right? We have a procedure P, right? Server is returning a P, and when we see on client, there is a calling. The name of the procedure is P, and these are the three parameters X, Y, Z. So this is one of the way of implementing a distributed system. So with the help of RPC, the program on one machine can call this subroutine or a function on the another machine without knowing that it is a remote. Right? Client does not aware that this method or this procedure or a function is a remote procedure. So this is the basic introduction of the RPC, remote procedure call. Now in practical we will find out the square root, cube and cube root of the entered number using a RPC. That means this client will send a number to the user or a server. Server checks about the procedure name. Client will send a number and the function name. These two things are sent by the client to the server. Server first check the function name, whether it is square or square root or cube root or cube. On the basis of the function sent by the client, it will return the result. That's why it is called as RPC. We have a remote procedure that is reside on the other machine, means server, and we call the function is called on the client machine. So now this is the basic introduction of RPC. Now we start with the practical part of the RPC. Right click, new, Java main class, RPC client. Now we create a RPC server which has a subroutine server. Diagram package. So let us start with the packages. Import java.io.star. This is my first package. Then again import java.net.star. Second. And copy this and paste on client. Then exception handling code. This is the common code, right, that we write in all the TCP and UDP programs. Within catch we write error plus E. This is the error message. then again try and catch, copy, paste. Okay, now let us start with the server part. Server uses a port address, again 888, using a class datagram socket. Server start its process, datagram socket, and use this port, and server is wait for the client, waiting for client communication. Okay, now client uses a different port number since it is a UDP, so we write this 9999. Again client uses a datagram socket class, ds equals to new datagram socket and port. So now in this way the client and the server process will start on different port addresses. Now communication phase start with the client, buffered reader br equals to new buffered reader new input stream reader system.in. So now this is a code to initialize the buffer reader object. Now just print a message, enter the input like number 5 and the method or procedure name square. In this way, in this pattern, client will enter a input. Okay, the input is stored in str br dot read line. So again, this is a code. This is a code which is repeated again and again in UDP and TCP program to take the input from the user. Okay, so now we create a byte array. Right? To send this data to the server, we first create a byte array B1, new byte array, and the size is 1024. We convert this data into bytes, that is your str.get bytes. Then we find the IP address of the server, that is your inet address, addr equals to inet address get localhost. Now we create a datagram packet. It is my dp1, new datagram packet. And to create a packet, 4 parameters are used. First the data, the length of the data, and the IP address of the machine to whom we send this data, and the port address. So now since the client port is 999, the server is executing on 888. So this data is sent to the port address 8888 ds.set dp1. So these are the 5 lines that is basically used to create a packet and send the packet. Now the information is received by the server. So to receive the data, server again create a packet. It is your byte array 1024 and datagram packet dp1 equals to new datagram packet. Okay, so at the time of receiving, we use the 2 parameters, the data sent by the client and the length of the data. That's it. There is no need to pass the IP address and the port address because we are receiving the data. We are not sending the packet to the other machine. So this is my dp1, okay, and ds.receive dp1. Now we convert this data into a string equals to new string. The data is in dp1 dot get data, then start from 0 and dp1 dot get length till length. So this will be converted into a string. So this is the code to receive and convert the data into string form. Okay, now the main part of your practical will start from here. Okay, the client send the input, right, which is in the form of, first is your number and then the name of the procedure or a function. That means this information is received by the server. Now we print this information, data from client in plus str. So now let us execute this server first. We first test this program, waiting for the client, right click, run, enter. So now client will type the input in the form like this. First, right, client will enter a number, user will enter a number and the name of the procedure, square, square root, cube, cube root. Suppose user ने type किया square. So now this 2, 5 and square, as we can see here, received by the client. Server, received by the server. Okay. So now what we will do, okay, we split this data. We separate the number and the procedure name. So for that we use a class which is defined in java.util package. We have to import this util package on server. So there is a class called as string tokenizer. There is a class called as string tokenizer. st equals to new string tokenizer, and string tokenizer में we will write a string and within comma we basically this string tokenizer will split the data, right, str, right, which contains a number and the procedure name, right, when there is a space encounter between the number and the procedure name. So this is a syntax to create a string tokenizer object. Basically it creates a tokens. So how many tokens are created in this case? 2 tokens, one for the number and the second for the procedure name. When the compiler encounters a space between the number and the procedure name, it will split the data into 2 tokens. Now we use while loop and check has more token. So this will return a true or false if there is a token. Yes, we have a 2 tokens, right? So has more tokens, it will return true. So now first we will get the number, that is my integer dot parseInt, and st dot next token. So it will return a first token and the second is your string p name, that is your procedure name. No need to convert into integer. Why? Because the procedure name is in string, so directly write next token. And one more thing, right, we are declaring this variable in while loop. That means the scope of the variable, right, we use this variable is possible within while loop, right? So therefore it is better we define this variable, right, outside the while loop, so that we can use this variable anywhere in the main. And procedure name initially empty, or just remove. Okay. So now this is a code. Basically this is a code which splits the string into number and the procedure name. Now we check if this p name dot equals, is it square? The first, this is your first checking. Then else if there are 4 procedures that we call that equals, is it square root without space? Otherwise you will type a space in the procedure name, so it will count this as a 3 tokens, right? So there is do remember students, do not put a space in the procedure name. Then again the next else if, again we check p name dot equals cube. If it is not cube, procedure name is not cube, else if p name dot equals cube root. So these are the four procedures, right, names that we call on the server machine. Okay, now first we create another variable string response res, which is initially empty. Okay, when we have a procedure name square, so in res we store we call the procedure square. We just print a message square equals to plus we call a procedure, right? We will give a name to the procedure as square and pass this number as a parameter. Right now it will give an error. Why? Because हमने यहाँ पे ये we do not हमने ये procedure create नहीं किया यहाँ पे, तो we have to first create this procedure, right? Then only, right, this error will gone. So after the main method, see, this is my main, as we can see here, this is my main method. Here we create this public static return type double, the procedure name square, and we use int num. Now this is, and this procedure will return num into num. So this now we have created this procedure. So as we can see here, there is no error. In the same way, we create a 4 procedures. Right? Second res equals to square root equals and plus we call a procedure square root and pass this number. Again just create a procedure, copy this base square root, and this time we write math dot sqrt and we pass the number. Again see, there is no error. Then again res equals to third procedure, that is your cube, plus cube procedure name, and we pass this number. Then again we paste cube and we multiply 3. And the last one res equals to cube root plus we call a procedure cube root and we pass this number. Then we define this procedure at the end. This is my cube root and we have a class math cbrt and we pass this number. And also we will write else, and within else we return res, within res we return invalid input, invalid procedure name, invalid procedure name. So this is logic of the your RPC, remote procedure call, right? We are calling a procedure, right, which is there on server, right? We call this procedure on the client machine. Okay. So after this execution, right, suppose user ने send किया है square, तो in res, right, this part will come, the square of the number, that is this is your response. Now we will send this response to the client. तो टू सेंड द डेटा वी ऑलरेडी हैव अ कोड, राइट. क्लाइंट ने ये कोड यूज किया था टू सेंड द रिक्वेस्ट टू द सर्वर. तो वी यूज द सेम कोड हियर टू send the response. So we just change this to 2 and the again variable 2, and instead of str we send res, address is same. Then we create a second packet dp1 within this 2 and the ip address same. The port number will change, which is a 999 and dp2. So this data is sent by the servers to the client. Now client will receive data. So as we know, server ने भी already receive किया था. See, this is the code to receive the data. Copy this code. After this, just paste here. Again change the variable to dp2 and then b2 here dp2 receive करेंगे, and this is their res response data from the client की जगह पे we will write server and with it for just change this str to res. So this is basically the implementation of the RPC. So right click, just execute the program, waiting for the client. Right click. Now I am sending a number 5 and a square method. As we can see here, data from the server 5. I think there is some mistake. Just wait. This is a code, right, that is used by the client to receive the packet. So client has received the packet and there is a mistake here. We write 2 here, right. We also change the packet name. No? Again execute the server first and then client. Now I am typing 5 and then square. See, it is coming. Okay, now we can make this program as an iterative program, right? For that, iterative server. So for that we use a while loop. Within while loop we write true, and this while loop will be closed after this. Okay, then after sending the packet, right, this is the code to send this packet. If this str dot equals, if it is stop, then we write system dot exit 0. So when user client will send a message stop, the communication gets terminated. After receiving, right, the server has received this input, right, then server also checks if this str dot equals, is it equals to stop, then we write system dot exit 0 and the server process. Okay, let us execute the server, waiting for the client, and then run the client. So now the number is 5 and the name of the method is square. So the response from the server is 25, that means the square of the 5. Now I am writing 5 cube, as we can see here 125. I am writing 64 and square root, right, 8. In the same way 64 cube root, and then we type stop. As we can see here on client side, first 5 4 5 64 and then stop. So do remember students, on client side or server side we use a while loop. Right? This is a client and we have a server. On the server we have a while. So this is all about RPC.